Greetings of peace and love, everybody. My name is Ram Hotep, and I am broadcasting again on behalf of 13SignsAstrology.com. Hope you guys are having a really great day today. On this particular episode, I'm going to be talking about the constellation of Capricorn. And on my last video, I talked about the left-hand path of Set. I talked a lot about Luciferianism. So for those people that have been following the videos, just bear with me. Don't judge me. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are like, oh, you're going to be doing, all you're doing right now is just talking a lot about this Satanism and this Luciferianism and all of this lower energy type of stuff. And when are you going to like talk about something else? Look, guys, don't judge me. The energy has to be channeled at different times or whatever. So right now we're in the constellation of Capricorn. This is the constellation of the goat. This is the constellation of the underworld. So a lot of the information that's coming through me right now is basically coming from on high, coming from the universe, because as we transit these different constellations, we channel different energies from the universe, like through our crown chakra. So as the sun transits through Capricorn, as the sun goes into Aquarius, as the sun goes into Pisces, we channel those different attributes and that energy. So a lot of stuff that's coming out right now, I guess, you know, the ancestors want this to be revealed about this whole myth of Satanism and this whole myth of the devil and this whole myth of evil. You know what I'm saying? Like, before I even get into this video, I'm just going to say this. Like, when you really think about evil, there really is no evil except what's evil for you. There really is no good except what's good for you at the end of the day. And most people, they don't want to admit that. You know, they don't want to admit that, you know what I'm saying, that in actuality, the only good to them is the good things that happen to them, and the only evil is when something bad happens to them. Because that's what, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. You're feeling good when things are going good, and when things go bad, you attribute that to evil. So there is really no such thing as good and evil in a perspective of basically outside of you being the judge. So when you start talking about good and evil, that's a judgment that has to take place, which means that it takes a being to be able to sit there and make that judgment to say, okay, well, this is good and this is evil. So I just want to throw that out there. But let's get into this Capricorn information. Now, to first really understand Capricorn, this is a very interesting constellation. You want to look at the actual sigil, or the actual figure that represents Capricorn. And Capricorn is represented by the goat, or what you would call the human goat. This being is really called the Baphomet. That's what this is really called. And it goes back to Greek so-called mythology, and it talks about the Baphomet. And the Baphomet is what you would call an androgynous being. Androgynous being, or a being, you know, like a hermaphrodite or whatever, a being that's has both sexes. So most of the time when you see the Baphomet and the depiction of the Baphomet, because you got to remember that was the original depiction of Capricorn. It was the Baphomet before it became the goat. So when you look at the original depiction of the Baphomet, a lot of times you'll see the androgynous being with the breasts, but then with the male type features, kind of looking like a gargoyle, sitting in a certain posture, like a yoga posture with their legs crossed. And a lot of times you'll see located right here, which is called the sacral chakra, like located on the sacral chakra area. A lot of times you'll see an opening when you look at this picture of the Baphomet, and you'll see the Kundalini energy going up and down or whatever. And there's a reason for that. You'll see the snake energy or the yin yang energy right here. They'll have it depicted as a symbol on the sacral chakra of the Baphomet. And that really tells you everything about Capricorn if you really look at that particular symbol or sigil. Capricorn goes into a lot of Saturn energy. So Capricorn is like the sign, like the hardcore sign. It's a very hard sign. It's the taskmaster. Capricorn, the key words to Capricorn is I use. So Capricorns are all about resources. They're all about the material world. So when you understand the concept of Set, in the last video I talked about this, Set, he deals with, his name is Satuk in Egypt. He deals with the earth. He deals with the material realm. And this is the same thing that Capricorn goes into, because of the fact that Saturn, or Saturn, is the ruler of Capricorn. So Capricorn is basically the messenger, if you will, of Saturn. So Capricorn, so a lot of your Capricorns or whatever, these are your taskmasters. These are your big business people that have to be responsible, because you got to remember Saturn deals with responsibility. These particular people have to be responsible to keep things on the earthly level going, to keep up the systems of checks and balances. So a lot of times when you look at Saturn, Saturn goes into banking. Saturn goes into insurance. Saturn goes into wills. Saturn basically deals with structure. Saturn is a taskmaster. Basically, the things that you have to do, the work that you have to put in. So when you start understanding Capricorn, this goes into a lot of your earthly, it even goes into a lot of your earthly systems and schools of thought or whatever. So like when you get into like Ifa and those particular different schools that deal with a lot of your earth magic and deal with a lot of like working with the earth element and working with eggs and, you know, working with animals and things like that and putting together different rituals and making different sacrifices that are dealing with the earth. This all goes back to Capricorn energy because Capricorn is the taskmaster. Now, Capricorns are big business people. As far as their profession, most of the time they like to think big. Now, a lot of times they don't always make it in a big business, but what happens with a Capricorn is they can't really get caught up on the day-to-day small things. They have to think about the bigger picture. And if a Capricorn, like a lower level Capricorn, that gets stuck on thinking about like all this day-to-day stuff or whatever, like as far as like making money and the 9 to 5 or whatever, like that's not really like how your energy is supposed to operate as a Capricorn. Like as a Capricorn, you are supposed to be like thinking about big business. Like you got to think about people like Oprah Winfrey. Like Oprah Winfrey is a Capricorn, like a real Capricorn. Now she doesn't know this, of course, but she's a true Capricorn. She believes she's an Aquarius, but according to 36 signs astrology, Capricorn starts on the 19th of January and it ends like around February the 15th. It ends on February, somewhere around February the 15th. So those are the different dates of Capricorn, so you can figure out as to whether or not you might be a 13th signs Capricorn. This might fit your description. But a lot of people, they say Capricorns are selfish because they're ruled by, or their key word is I use. So they know how to use things and people. They know how to use people too because they remember they're the taskmaster, so they see the bigger picture. So they know how to use things to their own ends and their own means or whatever, to their own advantage, I should say. And a lot of people call them basically users. You know what I'm saying? People that leeches and stuff like that. But that's really, I mean, they are users, but that's their nature. That's their energy. And that's, you know what I'm saying, how they operate. Now, it's different levels of that, though, because some Capricorns know how to use people and put them in positions to benefit the person. Like they may be a manager or something like that, and they use a person basically based on their talents and gifts. So it's not, I mean, basically it's the skillful Capricorn and there's the unskillful Capricorn. The unskillful Capricorn just uses people and is selfish and, you know, is lower level because they're not really thinking on the bigger picture. They're just trying to think on a day-to-day level. So they set themselves up in positions to kind of like, you know, live off people and use people and stuff like that. That's one particular Capricorn. But like I said, Capricorns usually are hard workers though, because of the fact that they are from the earth element. I mean, for the most part, you're going to see a Capricorn, they're going to be like on their shit, you know what I'm saying? Like they're going to be on their tasks and the things that they need to do. So a lot of interesting stuff about Capricorn. Now, another thing about Capricorn is that they are very sexual. A lot of people don't realize that. I would say, really, when you study it on a metaphysical level, I think that the Capricorn is more sexual than the Scorpio. A lot of people like to put all this sex stuff on Scorpio, and they have it, you know what I'm saying, because they're ruled by Mars. But Capricorn got some sex stuff too, you know what I'm saying? And it's different. The sexual nature is a little bit different, the way it operates, of course. But Capricorns can be very sexual because of the fact that they deal with, when you look at the symbol of the Baphomet, go ahead and decode the symbol or whatever. The symbol of the Baphomet it's an androgynous being, but it can be decoded. Now, the Masons in different schools and different esoteric schools out there, they look at the Baphomet as an initiator. The initiator. The Satanists, some people believe the Satanists, which is like Anton LaVey, believes that the Baphomet represented like this ultimate evil. You know what I'm saying? This ultimate evil or whatever. So they put a lot of darkness on the Baphomet. And they, reason why they do that or whatever is because of the fact that the Baphomet is kind of like going to a being that has really no intent or really no concern or care for, I guess you could say, human existence and human life. Like this being, its intent is strictly wrapped up into what it's about, which is power, tasks, things of that nature. So the reason why they put all this darkness, you know what I'm saying, and all this evil and cloak all this evil around Baphomet is because Baphomet, when you access it as a deity, it's a deity. So when you call on it, when you invoke it, it has a lot of power. It has a lot of power. And the thing is, though, it doesn't care about you, the magician. So when you invoke it and you're working with this energy, it could kind of take over you. So it's kind of like sexual energy. That's why I want to go into sexual energy. The Baphomet, when you really decode it, If you look at it, it's all about sexual energy. On the male aspect, it's dealing with the phallus. It's dealing with Pan. Like Pan dealt with a lot of, like, he was the deity that basically aroused the women and got the women stirred up or whatever. So that he dealt with the phallus. You know what I'm saying? So on the male aspect of Capricorn, it's dealing with the phallus, of course, and male energy. But then there's a female aspect, because remember, it's an androgynous being. So there's a female and feminine aspect to the sexual energy as well. And this goes into Sophia. And Sophia deals with wisdom. But Sophia really goes into dealing with Kundalini. When you go, like, really go deep into it and you break down what this wisdom really is, Sophia deals with the Kundalini energy. Because when the Kundalini is arisen and when it awakens, it makes one wise. It's sexual energy. So it starts off sexual, but when you learn how to raise it up, it becomes wise. So this is why a lot of the Capricorns are very spiritual and have a very deep understanding and grasp of spiritual knowledge and information, because most of your Capricorns understand the Kundalini. They understand the Kundalini, and they understand that when it's awakened, gives you a lot of wisdom. Socrates taught that the term philosophy came from Sophia. When you break down the term philosophy, you see Philae and Sophia. And Sophia, he was saying all that to say that when you're a philosopher, is basically one who is in love with wisdom to a point where they begin to articulate, you know what I'm saying, all these different things based upon the Kundalini rising. Because when your Kundalini rises, it's like you become enlightened and you become so-called wise. And this is dealing with the Sophia energy. So this is like the sexual energy. So it starts with the Kundalini. And then, of course, it goes into the phallus energy when you take it into the male aspect. But it goes into the Kundalini from the origins of Capricorn is dealing with the Kundalini or whatever, which starts at the base of the spine. So and works its way up or whatever to and throughout the crown chakra, which leads to enlightenment. So Capricorns definitely have the ability to really understand a lot of magic. Like Capricorns deal with earth magic. So these are your magicians. They're not just spiritual. Like Pisces are spiritual. Capricorns are magicians. They understand spirit, you know what I'm saying? But they know how to work with the spirit to be able to get the things on a material level that they want. So that's how really the Capricorn energy works or whatever, which is different. Like Pisces is spiritual and they're not really too concerned. They could work magic, don't get me wrong, Pisces can't, but it's the intent. Their intent is just different. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to why they want to do these rituals and how they use spirit. You know what I'm saying? They have a different intent. So Capricorn, it's a lot of darkness associated with it. Like I was saying, I mean, you got a lot of Satanists out there. They associate Lilith too with Capricorn, and Lilith is the Hebrew goddess that was actually the original wife of Adam. When you get into the apocryphic text, you read about Lilith, you'll find out that she was the original wife of Adam, and many of the occultists say that Lilith was the actually the mother of Cain. The mother of Cain. You remember Cain had that problem or whatever. He was like a murderer. He slew his brother. You know what I'm saying? I remember he was banished from the Garden of Eden. He had to go into the land of Nod and all of that. Now, that's a whole other story in and of itself, but I'm saying all that to say that the Capricorn, even on the female aspect, the feminine aspect, is represented by the dark Lilith. And most people, they associate Lilith with like a witch or like an evil being. And a lot of people might not really be able to pick up on what I'm saying Lilith, but Lilith is spelled, I believe it's Lilth, if you want to look it up. And it's Lilith. And you can Google it or whatever, but she's like a Hebrew deity. Actually, they associate her with being a Hebrew deity, but she goes back much further than that. But she's a Hebrew deity that's represented by so-called darkness. And this is because she didn't want to submit to the patriarchal figure. She was like the type of mother that was like, I'm not going to submit to the patriarchal figure. So the gods labeled her a demon and a witch because of the fact that she didn't want to submit her energy. So some people say that Lilith ended up just basically staying in the realms of the underworld and just causing a lot of havoc and mischief and going crazy because she didn't want to submit. But that's not what happened. You know what I'm saying? That's the story that the magicians and stuff like that put on her. But actually what Lilith, she represents that independent aspect of a woman. And most males look at that as being disagreeable or devilish. You know, that aspect of a woman that's like, I'm not going to submit to a male. I'm going to do what I want to do. Femininity, things like that. Like in this society, which is going back to good and evil, most males look at that like a woman that's like that. It's like, I'm going to be independent. I'm not going to submit to you. They look at that as being evil. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's good or evil, I'm not here to judge that, but I'm saying that's the type of energy that Lilith deals with. And that's a lot of your Capricorn women. That's how they are. So you're looking at Oprah Winfrey, and there's a lot of, I mean, I have a lot of Capricorn women in my life. I can't really name on this video, but I keep using Oprah Winfrey, not to pick on her, but just as an example, like how she's independent. She does her thing, you know what I'm saying, in business. You know what I'm saying? And she really, I mean, she has that man, but at the same time, she doesn't really let a man control her. She does what she's going to do. She, you know, she has her network and she's about it. That's Capricorn in general. I mean, these are your taskmasters. All about work, all about basically just building structures. And they like to see big things. Like they hate seeing small things, and they like things to be organized and structured. So these are your Capricorns. I could go a lot into it from a medical perspective. The Capricorns, they rule the skeletal system, the knees, and things of that nature. So a lot of your Capricorns have to really get your massages. You as a Capricorn, you may get really tight. You have to make sure that your joints and stuff like that stay loose or whatever, because you're ruled by the earth. So Capricorns are very serious, and serious people tend to have a lot of stress because of how serious they are, because they hold a lot in and it makes them tight. So you have to make sure you do a lot of stretching, a lot of yoga, a lot of massage therapy, get a lot of massages and stuff like that when you're ruled by the Capricorn constellation. Now, before I shut this video down, the Capricorns, they get along with other earth signs like Taurus. I'm going to do a video on Taurus. I know somebody been getting on me like, man, you still haven't did a video on Taurus. I'm going to do it. I just have to do it at a certain time. I promise you, I'm going to do this video on Taurus. But Capricorn is just like it's just like Taurus or whatever. It's the earth element, so they get along with the Tauruses and the Virgos. They also can get along with the Pisces. Now they're the opposite of Cancer, so they're not as emotional. Like Cancer is all emotional and about family. Capricorn is about work, business, career. They hold their emotions in. They have emotions, but they just hold them in. You know what I'm saying? Because they like to be hard. You know what I'm saying? It's the GOAT, the Capricorn energy. So that's Capricorn pretty much. Capricorn is pretty much the initiator into the occult. I mean, when you deal with Capricorn, it's pretty much what you're getting into. That's why most of your so-called dark occult schools dealt with Capricorn or dealt with the Baphomet, because the Baphomet represented the initiator, or the pentagram, the 5-pointed star, earth, air, water, fire, and ether. All of these elements come together to take you deeper into the mysteries of Sophia, the mysteries of wisdom, the mysteries of the Kundalini, or that particular energy that teaches you things that you could have never known from just reading a book, and it just brings things to you and things that you could have never gotten. You know what I'm saying? That's the Kundalini energy. That's the Capricorn energy. So hope you guys learned something. We do have the readings on sale or whatever. We went ahead to change the price or whatever, so we're going to keep our readings all day at $13. Just want to go ahead and throw that out there or whatever. All readings at 13 Signs Astrology, like all the time now. It's an everyday price now. It's $13 or whatever. So gonna keep that 13 energy. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down. I thank you guys for listening and watching. I hope your Capricorns learned something. And until we meet again, I'm going to leave you all in peace, love, and light.